Welcome. In front of me is a Samsung A42 5G, and today I'll go over unboxing along with an overview of this phone. So the model that I have in front of me, as you can see, it's going to be the gray version of it, so they call it Prism Dot Gray, and there's also two other versions of it. So we have the black and also white, both of them having this ideology of Prism Dot naming, whatever that's supposed to even mean. But anyway, let's pop it open. Now the packaging right here seems to be fairly budget, which would probably be expectable considering this device isn't necessarily out there from the high shelf. So yeah, now let's get that out of here. Okay, as you can see, there's nothing else in here. In this box we got oh, nothing. Okay, that's nice. Then in here we got the phone itself, which, come on, there we go. Whoa, whoa, don't want to make it fall all out. So just set it to the side right over here. Then in here we got a really cheap looking cable. So this is a Type C to Type A. At least it's nice that it's Type C, so can't really complain here. And then we got, the good old Samsung 15-watt charger. Goody-o, nice. So this is a fairly garbage charger and basically outperformed by any other charger on the market in any price range. So nice. I really like that Samsung still includes those for some reason. So let's set it to the side and then close the box, because as you can see there's nothing in here. So boom, to the side. And now let's unpack this. Where is the... Oh, there we go. That's how I get it open. Okay, so there we go. And as you can see, this is the back of the device. It looks like it has this almost kind of like divided into 4 different sections, which it's really hard to show. Oh, there we go. You can see these lines. It kind of divides the phone into like 4 sections basically, but at specific lights it just looks like a single, or well, it looks like here it's just dotted kind of part, and then just a gray one. Interesting look, although not for me really. I don't really find it that appealing, honestly, especially that the device kind of looks at the back a little bit bland, especially with this. It just makes it feel like they try to add something to make it feel less bland, but I don't know, it just looks mediocre at best. So now that it's turning on, let me quickly touch upon the specifications of this device. So it has a 6.6 inch display, which is a AMOLED or Super AMOLED, and that's really nice. I really like Samsung for including AMOLEDs in basically everything. And they probably also include them in their fridges, I assume, if they have screens, but that's really nice. I am not complaining about it. It makes the display look way better, get way brighter than the typical LCD, so props up. And also, because of that, it usually supports HDR10, although I haven't seen any markings in here for it, so oops, I actually won't be connecting. So seriously? Why can I not skip it? Apparently I have to connect to Wi-Fi, not really sure why. So let me quickly do that. Now while I'm connecting to Wi-Fi, I will mention that this is a 720p display, so unfortunately it is not the highest quality. Precisely it's 720 by 1600. Which puts it at 266 pixels per inch. So what is this? So it won't be necessarily the most densest display, most like high quality looking one. On average, phones in 2020 had 1080p displays, so this one is lagging a little bit behind. A little bit of a shame, but honestly I don't really see that big of a deal here. I don't really look at the display that close to actually see the pixels, but to some people this might matter, so I'm kind of mentioning it here. And also it has an 84.3% screen to body ratio. And can I now proceed further with the setup? That would be nice. Okay, I think I can actually proceed further. So okay, so yeah, the display is okay. It does have a little bit of a chin at the bottom, as you can see, and a teardrop notch, which is fairly prominent there, and it is a real drop there. But other than that, the device has a nice aesthetic in terms of just the display. It is not curved in any way, and also we do have a under display fingerprint sensor, so that's why there is no fingerprint sensor on the button or behind or of any sorts. So really nice that they included it under the display. And while this is doing whatever it's doing right now, I'm going to flip it over to the back, and you can see the quadruple camera setup right here. And we do have a main sensor, which is a 48 megapixel wide sensor. Then we have an 8 megapixel ultra, 2 megapixel macro, and 2 megapixel depth sensor. And when you combine these, maybe not combine, but when you use the 48 megapixel, you can shoot at 4K 30, 1080p 30, and 720p. Has a slow motion of 480 frames. So let me quickly finish up the setup here. And the cameras, I assume you cannot shoot at 60, probably because of the limitation of the processor, but I could be completely wrong, because I think I seen Snapdragon 750 something shoot at 60, at least at 1080p. It's nothing really challenging here, so not exactly sure why you cannot do it on this device. But other than that, the thing that I'm curious in the camera setup is the macro and depth sensor. For the most part, they are usually just garbage lenses, or sensors, which don't do anything really, apart from making the photos look worse than they should. And on here we do have a 5 megapixel instead of the typical 2 megapixels, so I am really curious how this will make the photos come out. So let's start off and get a look. For some reason this is really yellow, like way more than it should be. Let me quickly I'm not really sure what is happening. So this is not something that I want. Can I change it so no. So the white balancing here is just completely trash. This is not a white in any way. So you can see it right here. Why? My disappointment here is immeasurable. So clearly this is the table right over here, and on the camera I can clearly see it doesn't look like I'm living in a basement, which I am. But this is just, what is this? It just, no, why? Whatever. Okay, let's move on. Just capture a couple photos, maybe. Oh, this is really painful. Okay, I think I know what the problem here is. I think it's catching up at the, let me collect the device and show you. So I do have this light right over here, which is a really warm light, and I think the camera, even though I can't see it on the screen, I think the camera is still catching it when I hold it like so. So even though I can't really see it in the frame right here, I think it still somehow sees it and just makes it, I don't know, tries to adjust for it or something. I don't exactly know, because if you switch it to a little bit to the side, for instance, like here, let me just quickly show you what I mean. So if we move it to the side, it goes to normal. It is color in terms of color reproduction how it should look like, at least close enough, while the previous photo is, well, not really. Okay, so I'm gonna capture it from like a weird angle, just to try to remove that yellowish filth that is just crashing the display. But it's making it really hard, honestly. So there's some weird glitching going on with the camera where it's trying to change the exposure. But anyway, I did capture a photo right here. And to be fair, the photo is fairly sharp. I really like the fact that it did do a really good job at just distinguishing what is a background and what is the foreground. So the foreground will be the cactus itself, and as you can see, the needles right here are basically in full sharpness, so that's really nice. The quality overall is nothing really to brag about. As you can see, this is just blurry as anything that I've seen, but it is at a bit of a further distance. Now I will try to see if I can get a little bit closer before I start losing the just overall sharpness. And I think this is as close as I can get. So let's see that again. Okay, so this is looking much better, I would say. The sharpness is a little bit off. If I move it to the middle, as you can see, it loses that sharpness, but if we move it to the side, that is where the focus was, and honestly it looks okay. It could have looked better, especially for the 48 megapixel sensor. This is not the best I have seen, but in its defense, there is a macro lens which I am about to test and see if it does the job better than the 48 megapixel. So there we go. So this is the macro, and I do have to say it did a better job than the 48 megapixel. So the macro here is usable. It's not the best. It still lags behind an actual macro lens, but this is a budget device, and well, maybe not budget, but mid-range device, and still it does come out fairly okay, I would say. Now I'll probably make an unfair comparison right here and bring my phone in just to show a little bit of a comparison right here. And this device probably at the moment, if you try to buy it new, if you can still get it, performs better than this most likely, and it will capture photos better than this device hands down. So this is a really beat up Mate 20 Pro, but just as an example, let me capture a photo right here. So this is a actual macro. So as you can see, there is not much of a comparison here. This is on a whole new level. While the price of it is not much higher, I would say, at the moment. I can even capture one more. Let's do from the top just to... There we go. So as you can see, this is not really comparable, I would say, even though this device costs about 300 right now, something like that. I might be a little bit wrong, but I'm pretty sure you can buy it around this price, and it will blow this phone out of the water, with the downside of it being a Huawei. So yeah, now moving further on, we already touched up on the camera, the macro one, and just a normal 48 megapixel. So let's see if there is any kind of portrait, which will usually use the depth sensor. I don't really see any kind of, yeah, I don't really see any way to use just the depth sensor right here. Usually you do have a portrait mode, which you can turn on, and this will obviously use the depth one. But here I don't really see a portrait mode, and I'm not exactly sure which one of the lenses will use the depth sensor. For all I know, the normal photo mode could have used it, but I have no clue, honestly. So I cannot really say anything about the depth sensor. It might be good, it might not be. I guess if you use this device for a longer time and you find some kind of portrait mode, or if it does automatically detect it, then you can probably gauge if it's doing a better job with it or without it. But at this moment I can't really say anything about it. So that's one of the things that I'll need to skip here. Now moving on to the selfie right here. So this is the selfie, and honestly it looks okay. I'm not complaining here. The colors of it are okay. The background is still visible. It doesn't have any kind of like annoying cutouts. I know it might be a little bit hard to see on the camera, but I can see it. You can still see the individual hair, so there is no like weird smoothing going on, and it is okay photo, I do have to say. For a 20 megapixel, it does a good job at capturing it. Okay, so now moving on to the actual specifications of this device. It does come with, like I said before, Snapdragon 750, which is a 5G chip, so you are in a way future-proof for the 5G connectivity. It does have just a single variant in terms of storage, so 128, but you can expand it further via an SD card if you wanted to. And you do have 3 different options in terms of RAM, so you have 4, 6, and 8 GB RAM. And honestly, if you're buying this device, I would probably stay away from the 4 and go for 6. That would be probably like the best option. You could push it to 8 if you want to, but I don't think it will matter that much between 6 and 8. But I believe 4 might be a little bit too low. And it does have a 5000 mAh battery, so that is really nice. But what isn't nice is the charger that it comes with, which is a 15-watt charger, and reminiscent of the devices from 2015. I assume they are still scared that their phones are gonna start blowing up like their Notes did, but you already had enough time to fix the problem, and literally everybody else, even the budget devices, can outperform this in terms of charging with a better charger. The device that I literally unpacked a second ago, which was a Poco M3 budget device that comes at half of the price of this one, and it has a better charger. What a surprise here. So the charger here is just trash, let's just put it this way, and the cable kind of also looks like it's straight out of just China, the way it just looks like, super cheap looking. No branding of Samsung or of any sorts or anything. So yeah, the charger here isn't necessarily the best. And moving on, like I said before, we do have an under fingerprint at the sensor, so that is really nice. Honestly, while I'm talking further about the specifications, I'm gonna set it up just so you can see how it works and how quick it is. So while I'm doing that, I'm gonna keep on mentioning the device does come with NFC, so you can use this phone if you want to pay for stuff at the store, so that is really nice. There we go. And also you do have something that is a little bit weird for me already, which is a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is located at the bottom if you can see it. So you can plug in your favorite cans and use it for music, which to some people it still matters. And other than that, there's not much more I can say about it. It does come with 3 different color variants. Okay, so we have the Prism Dot Black, Prism Dot White, and Prism Dot Gray, which this was the gray. here we go. Here's the fingerprint sensor, so you can see that it is working okay-ish. It's not the fastest, it's not even close to mediocre, I would say. It is on the slow side, I would say. So if I try to move it to the side, you can see how quick from when I press it, it unlocks it. So it does take a good second or longer just for it to unlock. And honestly, it seems a little bit slow. If you have some kind of easy pattern, you will probably unlock the device quicker with the pattern than with the fingerprint sensor here. But there's also face recognition if you wanted to use that, which let me quickly see. I might be incorrect about it, but no, there we go, there's the face recognition. So let's quickly add that as well. Do you wear glasses? No, not at the moment at least. Okay, so let me quickly check my face. And there we go, so it's added, done. So let's see how quick that works. Now I'm gonna have to angle it a little bit towards me so it can actually see me. So it doesn't actually unlock the display to the home screen, but you can see the screen lock. So I think fingerprint is faster than this actually. So so the face recognition isn't necessarily anything great either here. And like I said, at the end of the day, this device comes at around $300, and if you're willing to go with some Chinese phone like this one, which is the Huawei, it's probably gonna be around the same price, with the difference of this one being better in my opinion. It's gonna be most certainly faster, take better photos, have better display, basically be better in everything. Apart from that being spyware, basically, assuming everything is correct, because like I said, this is a Huawei phone, but it does cost significantly less in terms of what you get with it for the price. So this device to me seems a little bit overpriced. If you're just looking for a Samsung device, then I guess it's okay. But if you're looking for your best bang for your buck, I wouldn't recommend this phone, and that's just my opinion here. But that being said, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.